One fine day, Bozo was feeling a little bored after all the peer-wise questions, so he decided to visit a circus. Bozo bought the premiere tickets, seated at the side near the performer so that he is able to have a great view of the performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the greatest show on earth. Let's welcome Bing Bong the juggling bear on stage.
Upon watching the professional juggler, Bozo developed much interest in learning how to juggle, and was inspired to learn cascade juggling. He immediately rushed home and started juggling 3 tennis balls.
To his dismay, he failed so badly that while juggling, due to his new degrees of freedom problem and lack of coordination, poor boy. The reason why it is so hard to coordinate is that juggling requires a few sets of joint coordination to perform the task, which are mainly the radiocarpal joint, glenohumeral joint, and also the radio-ulnar joint. In order for Bozo to successfully learn how to juggle, he needs to be able to control all the joints required for juggling, to manage his degrees of freedom problem. Cascade juggling, as shown by the bear in the previous performance, is the most basic juggling skill one can achieve. Out of Fit and Posner's 3 stages of learning, Bozo is at the cognitive or understanding stage. Cascade juggling consists of balls which follow a horizontal figure 8 pattern above the hands. How can cascade juggling be classified? Under the one-dimensional classification, it would be a gross, fine, closed and serial motor skill. Cascade juggling is both a gross and fine motor skill as big muscles are being used. The ball also has to be transferred from the palm to the fingers in order for it to be thrown while juggling. This move would require fine muscles such as wrist flexors. Cascade juggling is a closed motor skill as the performer is alone in the room and is able to determine the start of his performance or action, and he is not affected by any external factors such as the movement of other people. Cascade juggling is a serial motor skill, as there is a continuous series or sequence of discrete motor skills. Under Gentile's taxonomy of motor skills, cascade juggling can be classified under 1b stationary regulatory conditions and no intertrial variability, object manipulation and body stability. Regulatory conditions are features of the environment that plays a part in regulating actions. They can be either stationary or in motion. In the case of cascade juggling, it would be stationary regulatory conditions as these features remain constant. There is no intertrial variability since the difficulty of the task is constant throughout as the regulatory conditions remain the same. Under action function, there is object manipulation as the tennis balls are used. Lastly, there is also body stability present in the skill, since during cascade juggling, one is supposed to be at a stationary position. When Bozo started out to learn how to juggle, his perception-action coupling was not optimal. In order to better his juggling skills, Bozo watched videos from YouTube. The YouTube juggling master taught him the basics first, using one hand to juggle 2 balls.
Bozo was so hyped up for this that even in the washroom, he would juggle while clearing
to
his poor hand-eye coordination, he failed really badly, and dropped his juggling ball into the bathtub.
Bozo's perception-action coupling was not optimal through the first ball and was visually perceiving the ball. He was then unable to react fast enough to catch the ball and throw the following ball. After a few days, he mastered juggling 2 balls with one hand and advanced onto 3 balls. To found it easier as according to Richard Schmidt's GMP, the invariant features, which is non-changing, would be catching with the palm and throwing with fingers. The parameter that changed was that 1 additional ball was added into the movement. As he began juggling 3 balls, the preferred behavior or movement pattern for Bozo will be moving forward as he kept throwing the ball forward. In order to prevent him from moving forward, he practiced in front of a wall, which caused the ball to hit the wall each time he threw forward. Through much practice, arms were stimulated to throw the ball upwards without hitting the wall. Under the dynamical systems approach, which has no central governor, self-organization of the different body parts would have occurred due to the constraints applied to the movement systems. A change in the attractor state can be observed. From throwing the ball forward to throwing a ball after upwards much practice, improvement can be seen in juggler Bozo till a point that he is able to do 2 rounds of 4 regularly. This improvement can be seen as a performance outcome measure in terms of the number of rounds achieved. Consistency can also be observed in terms of the degrees of freedom problem being better managed and the initial high variability in performance being reduced. Bozo continued to practice all day and all night, till he fell sick with a high fever due to excessive concentration of juggling the tennis balls. After lying in bed for 2 days without any juggling practice, Bozo started to practice again and effortlessly, he managed to do 2 rounds of 4. Persistence can be observed as the improved performance capacity, which in this case was juggling 2 rounds of 4, could withstand the test of time and was not forgotten by Bozo. This is also an informal example of a retention test, as the learner is able to do the skill even after a period of no practice. Upon successfully learning cascade juggling, he wanted to test the stability and adaptability of his skill respectively by doing a new music video. Stability is tested based on weather perturbations such as perceived stress or weather affects performance. Adaptability is put to the test based on whether there is positive adaptation of skill in different similar situations. This is also an informal example of a transfer test, as the novel context is being changed, in this case being the
Sai
physical
even
environment.
managed to get a special feature on Bozo's music video. What a champion, Bozo!
He was over the moon as he managed to progress from the cognitive stage to the autonomous stage of learning, which allowed him to not think nor look at the ball and juggle at the same time, as there is an automaticity of skill performance, where the skill is acquired at the stage that it does not require to tax the cognitive system anymore. They decided to have a centralized training at one of the classrooms. Bozo was one who does not take failure lightly, and he wanted them to be able to juggle like him a period of 4 hours. Out of sheer respect, the 4 apprentices put in their maximal effort. Bozo, wanting to observe their practice performance over time and see their improvement, charted a performance graph, showing the improvement as time passed. He even wanted to do video analysis, and thus, he recorded their performances.